Hey there. If you are a parent who is sending their child off to university or college for the first time and you're a bit, then welcome. You've come to the right place. Stay tuned. My name is Cai Graham. I am a parenting expert, and basically it's my mission to support you parents so that together we can build a mentally healthier and happier generation of young people. Welcome to episode 1 in this series. I'm really wanting to help you arm your child with life skills so when they disappear, and you probably got most of it sussed already, but it's to help you send your little angel off to university or college with that degree of calm, if I can even guarantee that. I'm not so sure. I know what it's like. I've sent both of my kids off to university. They've come out the other side, and they and I have both survived the ordeal. So here goes. One thing I do want to say to you is don't beat yourself up. This is a bit of a roller coaster for all of us, and especially if it's the first time you've sent your little angel off to university, it can be a bit daunting, and that's all right. What you have to remember is that, let's face it, we raise our children for a very short period of time, and we raise them to set them free. And when they choose to go off to pastures new, bravo, because that is a sign of success. So you've done jolly well. But I know it. You let them go with mixed emotions. I get that. It's hard, but also it's a new chapter in their life, and it's exciting at the same time. They benefit though when they have a few tools in their toolbox, and I'm going to help you with that today. If they go armed with resilience and confidence that it's going to be all right. Yeah, they'll have a few nerves, but that's all right. And also to support them and show them how to make the right decisions. Because I know what it's like as a parent. You're sort of sitting there going, oh my God, how are they going to cope? And will they make friends? And will they eat enough? And will they turn all their whites black? And all this sort of stuff. And, the laundry is the half of it, isn't it? But it is, there's a lot going on. And so it's important that we give them the very best setup that we can. And I know you've done 17, 18 years of good work so far, and now when they are embarking on something very new, it's a bit scary for all of us concerned. So cheers to that. I think you probably, it depends when you're watching this, but I'm broadcasting this on the very, very beginning of September, and so technically speaking, if you're in the UK, you've got a couple of weeks to go. Doesn't really matter, you'll all be watching this on the replay anyway. But it's time now, today, if you haven't done it already, to have those talks with your kids, to help them, to arm them with the skills that they need when they go off, as I said, to pastures new. And don't start beating yourself up. If you're looking at this and they've been away for 3 weeks and you're sort of sitting there going, oh God, I've done none of that. It's all right. It's okay, they will survive, but it's just nice to give them a few more, as I said, tools in their toolbox so they're able to cope with this. So planning is important, really. Plan for the inevitable. I've got a little checklist here, so excuse me when I'm going to be peering down at my notes. Plan for the inevitable, but also plan for the unforeseen, because, come on, as parents, we know life throws us a curveball. We know that. And something's beeping in the background. There's all my reminders coming up. So the thing is to understand, I think the most important thing is for your child to understand that they need to be happy in their own skin. And there's a great little exercise I've got. They really need to be their own advocate, for want of a better phrase, because let's face it, they are going to be put into situations, be it at parties or be it, whatever, that they're going to be tested. And if they know what their core values are, and if they know what they stand for, and if they know who they are, then when they are tested, they make better decisions, and they make them with a lot more ease and a lot less struggle. So teach your child to understand who they are and what they stand for. A bit like just sort of putting, because I don't really like using the word labels, but putting a label on who they are. In that, if your child is not a drinker, then let them attach themselves to that. I'm not a drinker, and it's a sort of I do that, I don't do that sort of exercise that I call it, and allow them to acknowledge and sort of voice these opinions and see how it sits with them. And if they are a sort of, when someone offers them a drink or an extra pint or whatever it is, they will know within their gut, actually, I do that, or I don't do that. Does that make sense? So maybe a smoking or joints, because let's face it, it's all out there. If they are able to sit there and ask themselves, I do that or I don't do that, it makes it easier for them to make decisions when push comes to shove. So maybe practice this within the next couple of days. Just discuss with them scenarios. If you saw bullying, what would you do? Would you stand up or would you just sort of go back into the sort of, shrink down into the sidelines? Or if someone needed support, would you support them or would you not? Or if someone offered you X, Y, and Z, would you take it or would you not? Where do you ask your child? And this has to be done without judgment, so that they sort of understand that actually, yeah, you're on their side, but to help them make better decisions. Actually, there is a good, it's a critical thinking model I've got in my book. It's page 104, caigraham.com. Do you know what you in caigraham.com/book? You could you do sort of quite a lot of good if you actually bought this book, if you don't already have it, and let your child sort of run through it. It's all about peer pressure and socialization and coping with sort of overwhelm and how to deal with emotional outbursts, coping with sort of self-confidence and all that sort of stuff. So it might be worth having a look. But on page 104, I talk all about to help them understand how to make good and bad decisions. So maybe over the next sort of wee while before you're, if you've got that luxury of your child hasn't quite left for college or uni yet, maybe go through it with them. And just sort of find out from them, they especially the last couple of weeks of the school holiday, summer holidays, they actually tend to go off the rails a bit, because they're pushing the boundaries, because their head's in a spin, because they're sort of, last parties, last this, I'm not seeing my mates for a long time. So, the wheels are likely to come off a bit. So maybe sit down with them. Maybe they've missed a curfew, or maybe they got blind drunk, or maybe someone got into trouble and they didn't, someone, whatever. Or even good things, when you're a kid, this is even good for kids at school. Sit down with them and discuss it and find out what led them to make that decision without judgment, and find out how they felt once they realised that sort of the wheels had come off, and maybe discuss with them and have a chat with them and ask their opinion, and why do you think this happened, and what could you do next time, and what would a different course of action be, and now we're in this mess, what do you think could be done to minimise any more sort of chaos? And so it's all in there, but what we're trying to do is allow our kids the opportunity to make slightly better decisions. So have a think about that. On the same vein, get your child to understand their own needs, their own. I think it's developing their own emotional intelligence. For them to realise, and especially watch out, warn them that, Freshers Week, usually lasts longer than a week, funnily enough. It's absolute chaos and parties and sleepless nights and whatever for the first span of their student life. And Alice, my daughter, told me about it, and I hadn't realised it was a thing until she explained it to me. It's called Freshers' Flu, where your kids will be running on empty for a very, very long time, because that's what they do, because they want to do, it's that FOMO, the fear of missing out, and they're wanting to meet as many people, and they don't want to look as though they're a sort of, a killjoy, and they feel that they've just got to keep on going and just joining and everything. But let your child understand their own needs. Should I really be going to this party, or do I need to, this is before even the work starts, or do I need to just have a quiet night, or would it be better to have a movie night with my roommates instead of going out to yet another party? Or maybe I just, am I eating enough? And to help them understand what their needs are, and to recognise any corrective action that they might have to take. So help them understand that. I've got a little list here which will, give them some things to plan about. And I don't want to, it sounds like I'm scaremongering, but forewarned is forearmed. Teach your child basic first aid. What they do if someone gets burnt, or what do they do if, and maybe even send them off with a basic first aid kit. What to do if someone's running a fever? What do they do if someone's being sick all over the place because of too much booze? What even sort of telling them to lie them in the sort of recovery position. All these things, your child, if they have discussed it with you first, when or if this happens, they're not likely to panic so much, because they'll go, no, hang on a minute, I should know what to do here. And it gives them that sort of 2 seconds, 3 seconds grace to go, right, I've got this. Because it can avert a crisis. So that's one. Teach your child basic first aid. Teach your child phone skills, for goodness sake. I remember when Alice was sick and she had to phone the medical centre, and there's more about that in a minute, and she goes, but what do I do? And I went, well, come on, just, phone them. She said, but what do I say? And I thought, oh my gosh, our kids are, and this is ridiculous, she's an intelligent girl, and our kids are so used to texting and group chats and all this sort of stuff, that actually the basics that us parents are used to have escaped our kids. So make sure that they know how to do the basics, like making a phone call. Help them to understand. This is a sort of maybe less important, well, less urgent, but teach them how to get from A to B. I do remember, sort of trying to get my child, even if you might not be dropping them off, but if they are needing to sort of get to college under their own steam, run through them and tell them that, because I remember Alice again was sort of, she tends to sort of call me in a crisis more than Jack ever did. But it was a sort of, my train's late, has it arrived? What happens? Have I missed it? And she sort of, I'm like, no, you're all right, don't worry, it's probably running a little bit late. But it was blind panic. And what happens if I can't find a taxi? And what happens if I, miss a connection? Or what, or even things like, how do they get round the campus? Because some campuses are all contained, and other campuses are sort of split across the city. It's all these things that can be very, very daunting for a child who has not, who's been in their own little bubble at school. Google Maps helps a hell of a lot, but that's worth just, forewarning them. Laundry. I joked about it earlier. I remember when Jack and I went to, we went, I don't know how, but we on his, I think it must have been his first or second day, or his first day at uni. And for whatever reason, actually no, it wasn't. I think it was the first time I visited. And I walked into his room and there was a pile of laundry. and it must have been, I mean, like, God knows what he'd been wearing for the last 3 days, because it looked like all his clothes were sitting in the corner. And I sort of said, we need to get this done. You know, oh God, please don't, I don't want you to take me to the laundry room, and what happens if someone sees. And anyway, I prevailed, and good sense prevailed, and I went down with him, and I hadn't obviously shown him at home, and so we went into his big laundry room, and there were about 4 or 5 other students there, and I started putting stuff in, and every single one of those students came up to me and went, "Can you help me, please? What should I be doing?" So it's truth. So I basically stood them there, and I went, "Okay, right, guys." And Jack was going, "Oh my God!" And I said, "Right, separate lights from darks." And sort of 2 kids went, "That's a thing?" And I went, "Totally. Separate lights from darks." And I explained why. I said, because otherwise everything's going to turn out grey, because it's all going to look, leave a black sock or turn out pink if you leave a red sock, So I said, "Right, okay, now I said, we'll order lights, so let's put all our lights in, and now you put this amount of detergent in." And someone go, I haven't got any, right, borrow some of this. And it was the sort of, well, what happens if I've got a tab, and what compartment do I put it in, and what happens if I haven't got enough change? I mean, it was all these things. And so eventually, then we sort of all came back about sort of, 30 minutes later, when the wash had finished, and we had a tumble drying lesson. And as I left, they all went, "Thanks so much. We just didn't know what we were doing. We had no idea." And that was a lesson to Jack, actually, that he wasn't as hopeless, or he was just as hopeless as everyone else. And actually, it's all right. Mothers can be very embarrassing, but they can also save the day sometimes. So maybe just get your child with supervision if you don't want your whites to go pink, but show them how to use the washing machine in your house before they go. There's another thing. I was talking earlier about their emotional intelligence and being their own advocate. Get your kids or your student with other students once they get to know who their group, not even their group, but maybe their house or their floor in halls or whoever, but get them to set up a buddy scheme, which is so useful, because what this does is it has one another looking out for each other. It helps in that if one person gets a bit too, I don't know, sort of overserved, as they say, has had too much to drink, then the buddy scheme kicks in, and they look after each other. Some people do all right, they go so far as to say, "I'm the sober one tonight," just so I remember when Alice was at school, actually, and she wasn't a drinker, but there were lots of others that were, and she sort of spent her whole time, she said, "I'm getting bored with this, and I'm the one that's looking after my mates," and and it was picking up their phones and making sure that they were, sort of remembering their coats, and making sure that if they needed to, then a safe taxi home or whatever, because it's a bit of a safety net. But also, on the flip side of that, your kids might need a get-out clause. They might need I suppose they might just need reasons why not to go to a party, or reasons why not to take this joint, or reasons why they want to pull out of a situation that they're not happy with. And if they've got a buddy scheme, or if indeed they have got this emotional intelligence where they feel, "Do you know what, the sky's not going to fall in if I do something different," then it gives them that internal self-esteem, that internal confidence to be able to deal with the issues that they're not quite expecting, if that makes sense. Teach them how to cook. I sent Jack on a course just before he went away, and some of it he never used, but other stuff was really, really useful for him. I mean, now, I think he bought a George Foreman grill and used that for the first 2 or 3 months of his student life. Another time, I remember his first his first meal he cooked for himself. It was only a bowl of pasta, but he daintily, because his mother used to do it, he daintily put a bit of basil on the top, and he went, look, I'm even eating green stuff. So that's, and he texted it to me, he sent it to me in Facebook chat or WhatsApp or whatever. So that was quite cute. But knowing that your child is not going to live on pot noodles really helps. Teaching them that when they go to the grocery, whether they go to Tesco's, Marks and Spencer, no, they wouldn't even go there because they can't afford it. But, whenever they go to the grocery store, tell them to go and look at the reduced aisle, and especially late on in the afternoon, the stores are trying to get rid of the good stuff. So, Jack was buying sort of a steak for £1.50 or something. He probably incinerated it, but that was beside the point. So, teach them that they can shop wisely and cannily, and if they want to, I know lots of students because of the time difference of all their lectures and the workshops and stuff, they tend to be a bit like ships in the night for a while. But if they can pool resources, and bulk buying is so much cheaper and bulk eating is so much better. Alice is not used to do roast chicken once a week, and it's fun. There was chaos. What do I do? My Brussels sprouts are like mush and my chicken's not ready. But hey, that's what it's all about, isn't it? Teach them about personal safety. And with that, walking in dark alleys and stuff like that, and the no-go areas and whatever. But also personal safety. You're going to have the birds and the bees chat. I know kids going to uni understand about sex, but consent is a different thing that is probably worth discussing with them. Yes, the point is that no means no, regardless of when it's uttered, and for kids to be respectful of themselves and of other people, because after a few beers, vodkas, happy hour, whatever, shots, it can get messy. And so it's teaching children to respect themselves and to respect one another. And if you haven't spoken about consent, I urge you to do so, because I've done a big Facebook live, a big YouTube post about online porn. But your children will have seen porn. Don't think that they haven't. They have. But they need to understand that that's not real life. And so this is where consent and body consciousness and all that sort of stuff is so important. And the thing is, they'll go, oh God, yeah, I've heard it all before. But actually just reiterating it is important, because it's stuff that they need to hear. Your child is going to make mistakes. We all do. We all did. As long as they learn from them, as long as they learn from those mistakes, then you can't get that's got to be sort of the best sort of situation. To be naive enough to think that they're going to waltz through 3 years, 4 years, or without getting themselves into trouble. We all do it. Come on, it doesn't matter if you're at college or if you're just starting out in a new job or whatever, new school. Mistakes will be made, but try and get them to understand. And this is where this comes in. CaiGraham.com/book. If you didn't catch that, they need to learn how to learn from their mistakes. What they would do differently, what caused that, that situation in the first place. And so there's no point beating themselves up about it, there's no point you beating them up about it, but helping them understand what would they do differently next time so that the same mistake isn't repeated. Going back, one thing I would sort of do is, we've talked about, communication. That's really all it is for the next couple of weeks for you, is to communicate with your child and to ask them what their worries are and what their fears are and what they're excited about and what they're looking forward to and what they feel prepared about and what they're not prepared about, and how you can facilitate that. Can you cook? Can you do the laundry? Can you make a phone call? Can you even write a letter? Can you nurse someone who's being sick in the, in the corridor, whatever. Talking about sickness. One thing I would do is, let's face it, get your child to have a health check before they leave, especially for the dentist. Just get all those things done. Make sure that they are living with a clean bill of health. So there's nothing underlying. Make sure that if they are on meds or prescription drugs, that they have got a stockpile so that they don't run out within the first week or month. That's so important. Yes, talk about drinking, talk about the buddy system, talk about sexual health. Oh God, another one. Communal showers. I don't know how, but both Jack and Alice had their own room in halls. But when they start sharing showers, it can be quite grim. So give them a pair of flip-flops. They will thank you for it. I've got so much more, but maybe I'll talk about that in the next episode for D-Day, the sort of dropping off day. But this is all about preparing your child mentally for the new adventure that they're going to have. And it's blooming exciting. Don't dwell too much on how much you're going to miss them. Tell them once or twice, but it's not all about you. It's about their new adventure and you supporting them through that. And so that they have that sense of self, that they are okay exactly who they are. That's so important. In the next few episodes, the next episode I'm going to sort of talk about D-Day, the dropping off day, the stuff that you need to buy and be armed with and stuff like that. The following episode 3, I'm actually addressing everything to the students, so watch out for that. And if you need to send them the YouTube link or get them to subscribe to my channel, you had better subscribe as well if you haven't done already, and then you'll be notified when when another video goes live. But episode 3 is a letter to your student from me, and then episode 4 is the empty nest syndrome. What to do for everyone else who's been left behind. It's an exciting time, but it's also a worrying or a time when we sort of we find it quite hard to let go, even though we know we shouldn't. And I've been there, and I get it. But it's just a matter of, for the next few weeks or whenever, give your child that sense of control. Give your child that sense of emotional intelligence, that they know what they stand for, they know what they need, they know what's good for them, they know what's bad for them, and arm them with the tools so that they are able to make better decisions. Whether or not it's putting whites and pinks together in a laundry wash, or whether or not it's phoning for assistance if someone's being sick, or whether or not it's getting lost on campus, or whether or not it's I don't know what to do, I've got no friends. We're going to be addressing that. But just give them the capabilities to know, do you know what? This is good. I'm going to be all right. It is going to be a bit like that. I get it. But they're going to be all right. And so are you. So as I said, please subscribe and hit the notifications bell so you hear whenever I release a new video. This episode or this series is all about going to college, going to university. One thing I would do is tell your student, your dearest, and for you parents as well. I've got an app. It's free. It looks like this. It's called the Teen Toolbox. Why I call it teen is because it's just it rolls off the tongue, Teen Toolbox. But it's for our kids who have hit puberty and beyond, because my kids are now 24 and 26, and they still need support. They still need Mama Bear, thankfully, or not, depends whichever way you look at it. They still need advice. God, we all need advice from, for varying degrees. But caigraham.com/app will get you, and it's got stuff all about bullying, cyberbullying, confidence, anxiety, you name it. And I'm here to support you, as I said. It is my mission to support parents so that together we can build a mentally healthier and happier generation of young people. Much love.